AM 1460, the new WXBR. You are listening to the Metro South Morning Show. Peter Czymbor here with you this morning. Joining me right now via the telephone is Jeff Schnepper. He is currently the economics editor for USA Today and a tax councilman. He is also the author of How to Pay Zero Taxes, something that we all aspire to have. We welcome to the morning program Jeff Schnepper. Jeff, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Jeff, the obvious question is, how do we pay zero taxes? I'm sure some people in our listening audience have got their taxes in already. Some are going to wait until the last minute, like it seems like a large portion of the population does. Everyone wants to pay zero taxes. How do you do it?
Nobody wants to pay zero taxes. I don't want to pay zero taxes. You want to pay millions in taxes. It's not what you pay that counts. It's what you keep. If you're paying millions in taxes, then you're keeping multi-millions. But here's the key. Here's the problem. You should not pay a single penny more than the law requires. And unfortunately, nobody understands what the law says. The law has been changed. We've had 47 major tax law changes in the last 50 years. Over the last decade, we have averaged 3 code sections changed every single day. It gets complicated. It gets convoluted. Even the professionals don't understand the code. How's the average guy out there going to do it?
How accurate are those commercials out there? I believe for H&R Block, but I could be wrong, where they say that America left billions and billions of dollars left behind on taxes last year, and they show bags of money across football stadiums across the country. How accurate is that, or is just that a nice visual to get people enticed to go to the business to get their taxes done?
It's a beautiful, effective commercial with absolutely no basis whatsoever. How do you know how many deductions were not claimed?
It seems preposterous. That's why I was asking you how to...
You're right. Your question shows that you understand the issue.
It's like when a doctor tells you that 1 in 3 people with this disease don't know they have it. You say, well, how could that possibly be? How do you know that statistic to be accurate if they don't know? It's just never quite made sense to me. Once again, we're chatting with Jeff Schnepper of How to Pay Zero Taxes. Tell us about some of the fine points of your book and what knowledge people attain through reading your book.
My book is not a book on how to put numbers in boxes. Mine is a planning book. Mine is a book that says these are the kinds of things that you can do to save money on your tax return. For example, everybody knows that if you write a check to the Red Cross, to your church, to your synagogue, it's a deductible charitable contribution. But come December, I don't have a whole lot of money in my checking account, but I have a pledge for next January. If I wait till January to pay it, I've got to wait till a whole other year to have the benefit of the deduction. So what can I do? I can actually put a donation on my charge card, on my American Express, on my Visa, my MasterCard, and I can deduct it this year rather than waiting for next year, even if I don't pay the charge until January or even February of the next year.
And the reason is, of course, people have a record that they purchased that this year because on their records of their credit card, it will date this current calendar year, right?
Absolutely. Let's get a little more sophisticated. Let's move up another level. Okay? We're still at the end of December. Well, after all the holiday shopping, I don't have a whole lot of credit on my credit cards either. What can I do? Well, I got a whole new wardrobe over the holidays. How about I empty my closets of my old clothes? Get rid of some old furniture, some old equipment I'm not using. Bring it to Salvation Army, bring it to Goodwill, and take a deduction, a charitable contribution deduction equal to the fair market value of what I brought in. Now, here's where people get killed. You need a receipt. No receipt, no deduction. I want your listeners to picture dead presidents on those receipts. I want them to think cash, dollars in their pocket. They wouldn't walk out of a store without taking their change. Don't walk out of a store without taking your receipt. It represents cash in your pocket.
Let me ask you this right here. I think a lot of people are sometimes afraid of putting deductions down in their tax returns because they're afraid if they put too many deductions, even if they are 100% legitimate, they're going to get audited. And as Jerry Seinfeld once said, that is the government's equivalent to a rectal exam. How do you prevent being audited, and what can you do?
Okay. Unfortunately, there's no way to prevent being audited. However, let's first understand how someone's selected to be audited. You can be selected on a random selection basis. Your number just came up. Some people are selected that way. You can be selected because the IRS has specific targets that they go after. For example, if you're a waiter or a waitress and you get a whole lot of cash income, the odds are a lot higher that you're going to be selected for audit. They also have a program which produces for them what they call a DIF score. This is a computer program, to oversimplify, that basically says, based upon where you live and based upon how much income you're reporting, these are the averages that are being deducted in your area. Now, if you live, say, in a ghetto area and you've got a $30,000 charitable contribution, that's going to pop up. There's something wrong there. They're looking for variances. They're looking for things that don't fit into the pattern. And the more variances you have, the more hits you have, the more likely you are to be audited. Now, that's how you get selected. How do you win? Winning an audit is really very, very easy. It starts the year before you do the return, because the name of the game with an audit is substantiation. It's paper. It's receipts. So what I tell my clients to do is to keep records. Worst case, take the simplest record-keeping system in the world. Take all your receipts, stick them in a shoebox. Once a month, you reconcile your checking account. Once every 3 months, you reconcile your checking account. When you're reconciling your checking account, throw the checks in the box, and then break down the checks and the receipts into categories that are going to appear on your tax return. You'll have a separate envelope for medical expenses. You'll have a separate envelope for charitable contributions. At the end of the year, all you have to do is add up the receipts, add up the checks, don't double count. Put that number on the outside of your envelope. That's the number that goes on your tax return. And an audit is, again, nothing more than the IRS saying, where did you get that number? You hand over the envelope.
And if you don't handle cash too much with paper receipts and whatnot, credit card and bank statements are really just as good, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the name of the game is to keep the receipts now, because you're not going to get audited as soon as you file the return. They've got 3 years from the date of the return to audit you. Now, most people are audited in about 18 months. But they can audit you up to 3 years after the due date of the return.
Once again, we're chatting with Jeff Schnepper, author of How to Pay Zero Taxes, here on AM 1460, the new WXBR, also the economics editor for USA Today. Jeff, years ago I used to go to a tax professional to get my taxes done, but I felt like he was just pounding the keyboard and looking to get the thing over with. In recent years, I've used TurboTax. What is your recommendation on how our listeners should go about getting the taxes done?
I think that everybody should go at least once every 3 to 5 years, preferably every 3 years, to a good tax preparer. Now, a good tax preparer is not a guy who sits there and listens to you feed them information. You want someone who's going to ask you questions. You want someone who's going to make recommendations and suggestions. You're not paying to put numbers in boxes. Any monkey can put numbers in boxes. You should be paying for the planning, for the suggestions, for the restructuring of what you have so that you pay not a penny more than the law requires. That's why you see a preparer, because the law keeps changing and you can't keep up with it. But make sure you go see the right person.
And when we archive this interview online, people will listen to this interview back before they do their taxes, I'm sure, if they do them individually themselves. So you've been a valuable resource this morning, Jeff.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Anything I can do to help.
Jeff, the book is How to Pay Zero Taxes. Where can folks check it out, and where can folks get more information on you?
You can get information on me. Just Google me. You can get information on how to pay zero taxes. You can buy it in any major bookstore. You can buy it online at Amazon. Barnes & Nobles have it. If it's a major bookstore in the country, the book is there. This is the 31st edition. It's been around for a while. It's McGraw-Hill, and the book is over 850 pages and is fully deductible. Only $20.
A fully deductible book. So not only is it resourceful, but you can deduct the purchase of the book on your taxes?
Absolutely. Anything that you do, any expenditures, like a TurboTax program, any expenditures that you incur, like hiring your tax preparer, that helps you prepare your taxes, are deductible.
Over the past 30 years, you've written all editions of this book, correct?
That's correct.
How many have you sold over the course of 3 decades?
Counting the 2 my mother picked up?
Yes.
more than 3.
More than 3, okay.
Obviously, the book is done well because we're in the 31st edition. How well it's done is between McGraw-Hill and my accountant. And
the government, unfortunately, because you have to. You can't hide that income from the government, Jeff. You just told us that.
You never hide the income. You report every single penny that's there. It's all income, but then you offset it by legitimate expenses.
You were giving Webster's Dictionary a run for their money for longest-running, yearly annual book, that and the Farmer's Almanac. Jeff Schnepper joining us here on WXBR. Jeff, before I let you go, any final words for our listeners? Substantiate, and when in doubt, keep your receipts. That is Jeff Schnepper, author of How to Pay Zero Taxes here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. We'll step aside for a quick break. Mike Pava brings us a local news update. Stick with us.